to Run with Purpose. This is episode number 124. And for those of you that are new to the show, my name is Flores, and I'm so very glad that you found this podcast. Would love if you would subscribe. And as always, you can reach out to me on all of the socials everywhere at flores.run. Hope everyone is having a great week. Hope you had a great weekend. It's been a few minutes since we've had an episode. There's just been a crazy amount of things going on. Wanted to say thanks to everyone that reached out from that Chat GPT episode. If you didn't listen to it, the last episode we had a little fun with. The idea was putting a script together using Chat GPT and just kind of reading it out and seeing how it would play out. I had mentioned before on that episode that I was trying to make the episode a little longer. So I was saying, give me more, give me more, give me more. And even when I read it, it ended up being like 8 or 10 minutes or something like that. Pretty short. Hindsight, I probably should have used that as prompts and then grew out from that. But you know what? We all learn, we do things. But thanks for those that reached out. And then I used a AI generator for headshots as well, which actually made it even funnier because it wasn't me in that picture. If you did not realize that, that was not me in the thumbnail. AI is just an interesting thing, combining different things. Science? I don't know. But yeah, it's been a crazy past few weeks. Finished Vermont, that race report finally. I know it took a little while for me to get it up and running. So thank you for your patience with that. For those that wanted to read it and those that have had read it and reached out, very much appreciated as well. There was a lot to it, right? There was a lot to that race, a lot to everything that was going on in that general time, 2 months ago now at this point. And I really wanted to make sure I captured everything the way I wanted to. And I think I did that. Crazy enough, it was like 13 pages on Google Docs when I was writing. I was like, holy crap. I think this is the longest one I've done. Yeah. And if you had read that, my gist with my blog, I think I've said this on here before, is I was going to have 52 posts. It was going to be an intro post, 50 states, and then at the end of all of that, have a final post. So I will have a final post. I was hoping to have it up by the end of the year. We'll see if that happens. I'm really still kind of gathering my thoughts with everything. So it might be early next year. But again, another one of those things I just wanted to do it justice. It is interesting, random thought, but of how my writing had changed in that time of like when I first started doing these race reports and to how I've grown in it, just grown as a writer in general, but also grown in that storytelling and paying attention to details and realizing the bigger picture, right? I've talked about that a ton of times of having this idea of not just focus specifically on the finish line, but kind of everything that happens before that and kind of what led up to that. So I'm kind of excited to see where that kind of takes me in this final post and that sort of thing. But yeah, the last few weeks have been just crazy busy with travel. Ohio obviously is when I recorded the last episode. I had mentioned that in the intro of the last episode. Was there for work and kind of just hanging out and seeing some friends and stuff. Funny enough, I guess I haven't talked about this. We had they had a surprise party for me. I was going to go out with Josh and Chad to just hang out at Zaftig and Worthington and just have a few beers. And I get there and I see some people and I'm like, that looks like so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. I'm doing whatever. And then I start walking over and realizing like, oh wait, this is a thing for me. Like I saw the people and was confused. And then I saw balloons and I was like, oh my goodness. So Kayla had organized this crazy surprise party. We were running a little bit late. It was just this whole thing. But yeah, there was a ton of people there. It was great to see old possum friends and kind of just catch up with a lot of people. Yeah, that was a whole thing. I forgot about that. I was writing my notes and I completely forgot that had happened in that moment of time. Hence the huge smile on my face. It was such a blessing, and I was so thankful to be able to see everyone. And I'm not a big one for the attention surprise, right, with the podcast and everything, but it was nice just kind of hearing everybody's stories because they had been a part of the journey in one way or another. Whether they had run races with me, had helped me train, anything in between. So, so thankful that I had that opportunity to see everyone and do that. But we got back home, and then the next week, my mom was in town for a few days. We did the Chicago thing with my mom, and then headed over to Arizona for a week for work. It was nice being in the sunshine, but it was a lot of leadership meeting kind of stuff. So it was just like go, nonstop, right? Meetings all day into dinners and other events, and just was absolutely nuts. One thing that was nice is Kayla was able to come with me. So I got to see her in the evenings, like later, but she got to enjoy some sunshine as well. She just worked from the hotel, and we get back from Arizona, and then Kayla leaves for Ohio, and then I leave for Utah for more work meetings. It was my closer team at this point, just some team meetings, like team building activities and holiday stuff. And it was nice because I hadn't actually met most of my team in person. So we were all able to kind of come together, which was really, really cool. But again, it was, late nights, eating out all the time, doing things. There was a few like highlights of it. My boss keeps telling me about this like dirty soda thing. I was like, what's dirty soda? And he's like, one thing we do, well, he's like, we don't drink alcohol, but we love our sugar. And so they have these dirty sodas, which are basically just like sodas with a bunch of like toppings and stuff in it. And the last time I was in Utah, he was like, I got to take you. And we didn't. And he's like, next time we're going. So that's what we did. We found some time this trip to do it. And I got what was it called? Beauty School Dropout. It was Dr. Pepper with cream, coconut cream, pineapple, strawberry puree. I feel like I'm missing something else, and possibly something else. And you guys know I don't drink soda, but it was darn delicious. And it was super cheap too. So we're like, hey, maybe we open up a franchise, one of these in Illinois, but probably not. But yeah, that was a fun kind of experience, just having that soda and kind of doing that thing. I was back into the gym working out, which was nice because the hotel, I think I've said this the last time I was there, they have a Peloton. So I was on the Peloton a couple days, doing some holiday runs, which is exactly like the sweat out I needed after the late nights with the team and that sort of thing. But then we got to go to a Utah Jazz game, which is cool. It was my first NBA game, which was just like a crazy experience. But the coolest thing that happened the entire time, like the Jazz won, so that was cool. And it was like a back and forth game. It was a really close game, which made it exciting as well. It wasn't like a blowout or anything. The cool thing is they have this fourth quarter thing that Chick-fil-A does with the sponsor. So basically, if a opposing player misses 2 free throws consecutively, then the entire state of Utah gets Chick-fil-A. They apparently send everyone a thing in their app. You have to open your app, your location services. I think you have to be around the area, but it doesn't make sense because they said the whole state of Utah. So I'm not sure how it worked, but anyways, basically if you open the app and you're in Utah, you get this thing the next day. But if a player consecutively misses 2 free throws, everyone gets it. So I think it was the first time the guy went to the line in the fourth quarter. He missed one and the crowd erupted. They went absolutely bananas. And then when he missed the second one, people were like jumping and cheering. Like they stopped paying attention to the game. They were ready for their free Chick-fil-A. And it was a free 8-piece nugget, which is, a pretty good deal. I don't eat the chicken, so I didn't get it, but it was still a pretty cool experience. And then the next night we kind of went out on the town. I was going to go check out a DJ at a show. Didn't end up doing that, but a couple of my colleagues got together. It was great because they're not specifically on my team. They're with teams that I work with. So it's really nice just to get to hang out with them for a few hours, basically go bar hopping in Salt Lake City and get home pretty late. But there was a lot of peopling the last few weeks. It was great to see my team and do that stuff, but I was getting tired of like living in a hotel out of a duffel bag, as one could imagine. Work travel can be fun, but it could also be pretty exhausting. It's funny though how life works sometimes though, right? Of how when we're in these crazy moments or in these crazy seasons of go, 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 or keep moving, or just a lot of things happening, we tend to, when that time ends or when it slows down, we tend to reflect and wonder why maybe I don't have as much peace as I would have hoped, right? Like maybe this didn't fulfill me in a way, right? You were doing all these things. We're very busy. We're doing this. And sometimes we can go off and wonder like, hey, did I do the right thing, or what's going on? And I think sometimes we do that to reflect or reevaluate to make sure we're kind of not off of track, right? Like, hey, I went down this path. I was super exhausted. Okay, now that I'm settling in, what does that feel like? And did I veer off a little bit or something like that? And today I'm going to talk a little bit about that idea as we head into the last few weeks of the year, right? We all reach the end of the year and look back. So many of us go back to our New Year's resolutions, right? the things that we were checking off of the list of, hey, I'm going to do this year, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to do these things, many of which obviously did not last through the end of January, right? And when we do that, we play that checklist game. And at the end of the year, we basically go back and reflect on that, right? Going to that specific moment in time of saying, hey, I'm going to do all of these things. And in doing those things, I'm going to count my year as a success, right? And I think the topic and kind of the thought process for today is how dangerous it is to mark up our lives or count our lives as, or our year rather, not our lives, but count our year as a loss or a failure because we didn't complete everything we wanted to, right? Very binary. I did or I didn't. And then we associate feelings and thoughts and everything around that process. And I think that becomes a little dangerous. And I think a better way of thinking about it would be maybe not pass or fail with the individual task themselves, but looking back and seeing what did we learn through these experiences, right? Taking a glance at what happened throughout the year, whether it was good or bad, and what you had learned and how you had grown through that process. Again, we can set all these individual tasks that we want to do throughout the year. But when we do that and we make it a binary, I either did it or I didn't. Yes, it's good to have the goals and push yourselves to them. But when you make it that binary, it can cause some like angst of like, I'm not worth it because I have fewer check marks than I wanted. I only completed 30% of the things I wanted, so I'm a failure. And it's so easy to put ourselves back in those situations and think just because we did this or didn't do this, that our year didn't amount to anything. We left things on the table. We didn't do enough this year. And I think we need to reframe our minds and saying, hey, yes, it's good to have the goals and we need to have maybe checkpoints along the way, but what did I learn in the process here? Again, whether it's good or bad, something good happened to me or bad happened to me, or I just didn't complete the thing, but I got part of the way. It's that reframing our mind, right? It's a lot about the mindset and how we do it. These tasks are really mini destinations, little steps that we want to make, but we need to have we need to understand what the journey had for us. What did we learn? How did we grow through the journey, through each and every one of those steps? You know, if I can just kind of peel it back and look at my own life to kind of give you some examples, like here's some things that just kind of happened for me this year that can be good or bad the way we actually think about it, right? You know, the carryover of losing Bella last year and then having to run this year. I remember the first race and crossing the first finish line in Disney without Kayla or Bella was emotional, but then actually having Kayla at the race in Arizona and just like a lost, you know, just being in that experience and Kayla not having her around, you know, there's just a lot there, you know. We did the vacation to Hawaii and it wasn't over planned. So it's like, okay, do we have the stress of not being planned? But we were able to open things up a little bit, you know, being laid off from my job, which then turned into having to do a crazy amount of job interviews, which then led to a new job, thank God, and having to move to a new location. And then the role that I'm in, it's a new responsibility, you know, and then finishing my running journey with all of those states. You know, all of these items can be good or bad. It's how we frame it and what we can learn in those situations. Did I want to get laid off from my job? No, I liked the things that I was doing. But again, it's that reframing and understanding like, hey, sometimes things happen. And what am I learning in the situation? It wasn't a part of my goals to learn new job skills because I'm going to have a different type of role and responsibility. My goals were to learn some other things that were specifically towards the industry that I was in previously, but I have had to shift that. Now, that might be a little different than what your goals were, what you think about the goals. But I think with those, we have to remember it's not about the individual destinations that we're going, but it's about the journey that we do and the things that we learn from it. I learned from job interviews, things that I thought I was good at, I'm not good at. But then the opposite of that is, wait a second, I'm actually pretty good at these other things. So let's lean into these other things. And, it took some conversations to make that happen. Along with it, just realizing how much I was leaning into other people and their feelings about me to lift myself up, right? Needing that approval to feel good, or needing to be in the know of everything that's going on, and realizing, wait a second, you don't need to do that. I think I'm getting a little off bases with the goals, but when you have those goals, whether it's like a fitness goal or a personal goal or a travel goal or a work goal, like whatever the goal might be, if we keep it as binary, we can get into trouble with losing sight of the bigger picture, right? The idea of we get to the end of the year and we need to look back and learn from the experiences that we had throughout the year. And we're just using year because we're at the end of and coming up at the end of the year, and this is what we're doing, right? But it really comes into anything we're doing at all. I come to the end of the trips that I just came off of, and what did I learn in that process? Okay, maybe I need some better time management. Maybe I need some more communication. How can I learn in this? And I think this is where we have to do that, like stop and reflection, right? We've talked about that before in an episode of just stopping at the end and really reflecting on what's going on or what happened and how we can learn from that. How can we grow from that experience? And in that, that's the success. It's just reframing our mind and how we think about it, right? I think these goals can help give us the roadmap or the plan or where we kind of want to go with it. But they aren't always the thing that's going to stay with us long term. Crossing the finish line itself isn't going to be the thing that stays with us. The lessons that we learn through our successes and our failures, is what continues. That's what sticks with us. You have something bad happens, or you don't complete a goal, or you fail at something. When we can learn through that opportunity, it's going to stay with us. Even if we don't learn, sometimes we then hold on to that failure and make it bigger than it is. Those are the things that stay with us, right? More often than not, failures sit with us more than successes, because we're like, all right, the success happened, we kind of push it away. But I'm saying in either one of those moments, let's lean in to what we learned in that situation, because those are the things that are actually going to last. Those are the feelings, those are the memories that we're going to remember of, like, hey, remember that challenging time? Remember how we got through that? We always joked around in the running community with Team Possum and stuff like that, was nobody wants to hear the story about how well your race went. Nobody wants to hear that story. I had an amazing race. I hit all my time goals. I did the things. No, they want to hear the suck of it all. They want to hear how you persevered, how you pushed through, how it sucked and you still kind of made it. You made it. That's what people remember. That's what you yourself remember, because that's going to help you grow and go, hey, I did that. I did that really tough thing and I got through it. Maybe I didn't get through it 100%. Maybe it was only 80% to the goal that I wanted, but I pushed really hard. I gave everything that I had. And in doing so, that has taught me, hey, wait, I can do this hard thing. I can push through and do that other thing that may seem impossible to someone else, but I believe I can because I've done through this thing. But even then, knowing that even if I don't reach that goal 100%, I'm still going to learn along that process, and I'm going to keep getting better. When I was on the plane last night coming back to Chicago, there was one reel sound that I found that was talking about, what are my goals for the next 6 months? And this guy said it's to get better every day. Every day, just get a little bit better, closer to my full potential, knowing that it's out there and I may never reach it, but every day I'm going to work to get better. And I think this is what this looking back and reflecting is okay, what happened? How can I adjust? How can I learn and how can I grow? Not looking back and sulking in the past and what happened and going, can't believe this, pity poor me, I'm not worth anything, whatever the case might be, but saying, I went through this. I've learned this through the situation, and now I'm going to grow through it. That's so much more powerful than just saying, nope, I failed. Or nope, I just succeeded. What did I learn, and how can I always grow and learn from something? Even in our successes, there's always something we could have done just a little better, a little adjustment that we could have made that made the world of difference. It might have seen different results or maybe even put us down a different path to make us grow in something different that we didn't even know. So this year, I'm sure I'm going to make a list of a lot of things that I want to accomplish, in 2024. Kayla and I talked about learning Spanish. We want to do some more traveling, thinking about writing a book. We talked about that a little bit. And I'll probably have an episode talking about what my goals and stuff are for next year. But I think I know I'm also going to make a list of how to measure my growth throughout that year. Not in just the individual task, because I'm going to set up milestones to make sure that I'm staying on track. But along with those milestones in there is setting that to understand what growth is, building in time of reflection so that I can actually understand how I'm learning and growing, making that space, setting that space aside to be able to allow myself to learn and grow, to reflect. Because that's how we're going to continue moving forward, continue getting better, right? Every single day. So we need those milestones again to understand what our growth is. But again, it's more about learning through the process that'll actually have sustainable growth. The learning is what keeps us growing and continues that over and over again. It's not just another bumper sticker of where we've been, the success that we had, the failure that we had, how we define ourselves and whether that's success or failure, whatever it is. That's not it. It's not about where we've been. It's what we've learned with each step along that journey. Thanks so much for joining me today. You can follow me on social media, everything. I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Not going to have an episode for the next few weeks. We'll be in Florida enjoying the sunshine, but thank you so much for joining me today. Remember to keep running with purpose, one step at a time. See you guys next week.